Hey guys, it's Ducon Red 1 and welcome to episode 22 of Let's Build Chateau de Lumiere. Now, today's episode, yes, I do realize that there has been a long time elapsed between this one and the last. It's been a great big cluster of a lot of different factors, and well, we're back today, and technically Lumiere will be finished after this episode, but there's still that little corner of the plot back there that needs to be finished, so we may or may not get to that. We'll see what happens. But, yes, this episode has taken the progress of over about 8 to 9 months, so there's a lot of things that happened in that time, of course. Now, I had some technical difficulties with some of these replays, so toward the end, we weren't actually able to get them all put together, but we do got a pretty good start. Now, we already started the Lord's residence there at the beginning, but unfortunately I was not able to get the replays of that. Now, going through the floors here, we got the little guest chambers down there. This is going to be the audience chamber and sort of family room. Coming down here, it's kind of like a little nexus of rooms that try to lead down into the cellars and such, and then down here is like a little area where it leads to the kitchen, which you guys have already seen that, and into the foyer here, which leads down to the crypts. I'm just giving you a little idea as to how I plan the interiors. I use wool and such to give me a good idea as to where the layout's going to be. It gets me a really good plan of action, so that when it's time to detail, I can just come through and texture walls and get all the detail in there. So it really works out in the end. So now coming in from the front, it took me a little while to figure out the design for the front here. You'll see as I am developing, it just kind of goes from one design to the other. And of course, I was streaming this, so it took me a while. And of course, people were always like, no, that doesn't look good or whatever. And then finally, I came up with something that I liked, which we see right now. And that is going to be the face of the Lord's residence. Now, one thing that you guys are probably aware of already, but you can visit this build for yourself on the Darwin Reforged server. So if you are interested in joining this server, you can go ahead and follow the links in the description below and come be a part of this community, because there is, of course, a lot of neat things in this build that are probably worth exploring. I'm sure that you guys would like to see everything for yourselves. So if that's the case, come on over to the Darwin Reforged server with the Conquest Reforged mod and see for yourself all of the details and interiors and things that there are to see in this build. So coming in from the front here, there were some changes later on in the video as well, but I went ahead and made the front there, and that's like the main way in. On the back here, we add in some ancient rubbles from the Elven build that had been here before Lumiere, and some atmosphere and such to try to really fit the castle into the terrain. It seems like trees and such really do a good job with that. And then coming back up to the front, we're going to go ahead and head down through the front door here. This is more like a servant's way to get in, but anyways, it leads down here and into the cellars underneath, and we go ahead and detail this down here. Originally, I planned for this area to be a granary, which we still technically should add in later on, but I haven't actually added a granary in yet in Lumiere, so that's definitely something I should look into at some point. Coming up this way, I go ahead and revise this way down. I really didn't like how kind of messy it felt, so I cleaned it up a bit, and there we go. And I added that little bit of a red plaster area there to really cap it in. Now here's the pantry. It's the pantry to the Lord's kitchen, so it definitely provides a good little bit of food and such for the Lord. And then this is his personal kitchen right there, if he ever needs anything. Especially since the common rooms and such are right above, it would make sense to have a kitchen there. Now coming on in here, this is a laundry room. Of course, there needs to be some place where laundry can be done. This is where the servants would be and take care of all the gowns and such that the Lord and the Lady and all the royalty and even the priest and the Maester, all of them would need to be done. This is the foyer area leading down to the crypts. I thought it would be a good idea to have a neat little open room right there with a vaulted ceiling, just to sort of, prepare the way down. So now coming back over here, we make the servants' passageway that leads up into the common rooms up above, and I used a little bit of wood scaffolding in order to make that happen. I felt like stone would be a little bit much for that area. So then coming back through here, we go ahead and detail the way up. This is the main way out of the castle there from down the cellars. And unfortunately, I missed this part of the replay. I wasn't able to get that in there. But yeah, so that part we'll see later on in the video. Coming in here, this is sort of like a little secondary room coming off from a room that we will be doing here soon. And it has this little like guard type area that leads down into what I call the Nexus that goes all the different directions into the cellars and the infirmary and such. And as you can see, that comes in from the front of the castle, just to give you perspective as to where we are. Now we're at the audience chamber, so if you come straight in through the front door of Lumiere, this is where it's at. That's where he would see people and listen to their pleas, and also ambassadors and diplomats of different races and such, different peoples, I guess. And then this is like a little waiting area for that. Again, a few open rooms make sense in a castle of this size. It's just, there's nice places to, you know, kind of meet and such. This is what we call a crossback stair, and then we're heading into here. This is the ladies' solar. Really thought it'd be a good idea to have a special room for her, and so we go ahead and furnish it and make it look real nice. And so there we are. Now we're going to head into the common room, which is called the green room. I know we're kind of skipping back and forth around here, but it's just how it works out. Unfortunately, a replay bugged here, so we weren't able to see the room get finished. Now we're going to head down the hallway here, and we're going to go into the ladies, the Lady of Lumiere. She has like a little personal room in here, and this is where there's like a sewing machine and just miscellaneous things where she could just enjoy some time on by herself and just have a nice little place to be. A little safe haven for her. And then the daughter of Lumiere over here as well. She has a nice little room that has an adjacent bathroom and such, so it's just a neat little place. And of course, later in the episode, you'll hear some lore about her and what's going on with that. And then we're going to head through the walls, and we're going to go to the bathroom. And unfortunately, this is where the replay is in, so I will see you guys in just a few. Okay guys, well, due to some technical difficulties, unfortunately I was not able to recover the rest of the replays. However, there is still a lot to see here in Lumiere. The Lord's residence is now jam-packed full of interior. And as you can see, spent a lot of time trying to polish it up even after the replays. So we'll make our way through each of these rooms and just kind of discover all of the ways to get everywhere. I mean, you guys remember the chapel from previous episodes, and if you come into here, this is the green room, which you guys had seen. I did do a few polishing touches, I'm pretty sure, since the replay in here, and so that is that. Now, something I did not actually show you guys is this little, actually no, I did show you this. It's like a little servant's access way that leads down to the Lord's kitchen. So it makes sense that it's right underneath the green room, because that is obviously the family room and where they would just kind of sit and relax. And so if they needed a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, of course the cook would just come down here and cook them up something good and bring it right up to them. So that is the purpose and design behind that. Now, I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess we will discover the underground first, or explore down here first before we actually head up. Of course, we have a laundry room. You guys have seen that. All this light in here is, the purpose of that is to make sure that there's plenty of light and air flowing through here so that these clothes dry a little bit quicker. This is, of course, the little foyer, little area where they can just kind of prepare on their journey down into the crypts and the unknown down there. You never know what you'll find. And if we go this way, it'll lead us to the Nexus. I call it the Nexus because you can go any direction from here. You can go right towards the kitchens, you can go straight down into the cellars, or you can go left and up into the infirmary. Speaking of which, you guys have not seen that yet, but if you come outside here, this is definitely something you guys have already seen, the entrance into Lumiere, and so yeah, that is that. Also, I did this right here. I'm not sure if you guys had seen that during, no, you did not actually. I did do this little rework right here. I think that looks a little bit nicer than what we had before. All right, so we're going to head down this way before we actually head up into the infirmary, because you guys have not seen what I've done in the Maesters Tower. Also, a few other miscellaneous things, but that being said, you head down into the cellars here, and there's a lot of different ways to get everywhere. But before we actually head down there, let's head this way. And this leads us to the well, which goes down to a very unrealistic water source. It is actually a spring. Now, the way that this is positioned, it doesn't make sense that there would be a spring here, but we're just making a fantasy, and there's a spring there and a well. So it just is a way to have fresh water here in the castle, even in the event of a siege. So they have their water. There's also another well in the lower part of the castle, but that's all right. Now, if we head down this way, this is a little bit of a cellars area, and of course, you can see a little peephole right there. I wonder where that goes. And a door right there, but we will be discovering that later on in the episode. If you come through here, it peeks out and then into the old crypts here. Again, these are the repurposed elven crypts, and they redesigned them into being the buttery and cold storage and pantry of the main kitchen. Now, I do got to do some major revisions down here and add in a lot more storage areas for all that, so that is coming up eventually. And of course, we head back up this way, and it leads into the pantry and the small kitchen in here. So again, like I said, it's just a really mazy feel. Now we're going to head up this way, and this is actually what you guys have not seen yet. But actually, there is one more thing before we go in there. We got a couple, this actually looks down on the Nexus down there, and you can shoot down on the enemies that may or may not get in there. This is a little kind of extra room in here, not really any purpose, but it leads up into the green room. And if you come back down, there is more sort of a guard type area here where you can shoot through that murder hole again and pour like buckets of oil and things down on the enemies that may or may not get in here. So it is a very, it is a castle, and it's very, very fragile looking, but it does still have very defensive purposes. All right, so the infirmary, if you guys remember what it looked like before, it definitely has made some major improvements. I wanted to make it look a lot more bright, especially since I built this originally using the old mod. There was a lot of room for improvement. I made the surgery room a lot brighter, and the purpose of that is if you have a dark room for a surgery, it just kind of makes it a little bit difficult to see what you're doing. But having it a little bit brighter like this produces a much more appropriate environment for doing a surgery. So I like how that turned out. Now, the doctor would actually be the Maester, which we will see soon up above, and he also has two helpers as well, and they are again in the Maesters Tower. So if you go back and watch the Maesters Tower episode, you guys will see what I mean by all that. Now, there is more to see actually in the Maesters Tower. I've made some improvements. Now down here, again, what you guys will remember is this used to be a really crappy looking cellar, but I repurposed it into the treasury. I had no idea where else to put it, and I thought that down here was probably the best place to put it, because then again, like the Maester has multiple jobs. He also is the treasurer, and his helpers as well, and they are in charge of making sure that everything's in order down here. And if we head down into the vaults underneath, there's a lot of like little alcoves in here where you can stuff some coins in, and it really just shows the riches down here. Now, this was actually Ragnarsson was actually, he gave me this idea to add in these little vaults in here, and I thought that was just a really good idea. So thank you so much to Rag for giving me that that idea. It really helped out. Really looks great down there. Now we're going to head up to the top of the Maesters Tower and see some things. As you guys can imagine, there is a few things. By the way, this is a little access point right here to come back out into the servants' stair leading from the green room. But yeah, we're just gonna keep going up here. I'm gonna make you guys dizzy. There were some parts that I did not actually revise. For example, the rookery, I did not revise that, and I didn't revise the helpers room. This is where they are, I guess the apprentices, I guess, is what they would be called. But they again would be multi-purpose people. They would do They would help with surgery. They would help with the treasury. They would help with bookkeeping. They have just a lot of jobs. Now, this here is the actual attic to the Lord's residence up here, but it's only accessed by the Maesters Tower. But there's just a lot of miscellaneous things up here. Nothing really out of the ordinary besides the Jar clan and the Swordfish clan. This is just a joke. It's not supposed to be up here. If you guys pop by the streams, maybe you'll understand what that's all about. I did make a couple revisions in here. If you guys remember the Maesters Tower before, it was really crowded up here. But what I did is I opened up the space and I made it a lot more grand. And so the idea is that it's just a lot more open, and so that you can come up here, grab some books. You know, it just like there's the desk and just a lot of different things up here to indicate that it just is so much more grand than what it was before. So I really like how this turned out. I'm really happy with that design. So I'm going to meet you guys back down the stairs so that we don't have to walk all the way back down there ourselves. Okay, so we're back in the green room. I thought this would be a good place to start. I'm sure you guys probably haven't seen a few things in here. For example, I have a little place for the family dog back here underneath the, I guess, I don't even know what this would be called, the stairway leading up and out of the green room here. There's a few little details in here, like the place where they would eat. This is the dad's chair there by the fireplace. Big old mirror here so that the lady can sit here and look at herself in the mirror, I guess. I don't know. And of course, this would be a place where they would play games and just kind of get together as a family. And I'm sure also the Lord would have maybe like his friends here, and they would have discussions over important matters. So that is that. We're going to head up, well, I guess before that, there's a little not a garderobe, a little chamber pot right there, and this leads into the feast hall right here, again, which you guys have already seen in past episodes, and a little sally port leading outside. That door would mostly be locked to maintain security. All right, so we're going to head, I'm tempted to go that way. Yeah, we're going to head this way. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because if we don't do this now, I'm going to forget about it. This goes up to, now this actually skips one floor, and that's where all the royal residences are. But this is the residence of Octate Barandor. He is actually the high priest of Lumiere. The Octate is, because the empire is the Octavian Empire, and an Octate because there is 8 deviations of the god Hexus and whatever. It's anyways, it's complicated lore, but yeah, 8 oct is short for 8. So Octate, I thought that was a good idea for to make for the priest name. By the way, the maester is actually called he's called a Vicon, actually. It took me a while to remember what that's called, but yeah, it's a Vicon. Now, I didn't really think about that too long. Like, it's not like a super creative name in my opinion, but it is it's something I just thought it had that sort of like maester feel to it. Like it felt like he's an old guy that makes like he does like all this stuff. But anyways, Vicon, that's what he is. Anyways, that being said, this is the high priest, the Octate, and in here he has a little bathroom, a bath, and a nice little wardrobe that he can do stuff in, and a little place where he can just sort of kneel and pray and you know, do whatever a religious man does. And then right here is his little fireplace here and there. This actually is his little office. I'm sure people would come in to see him for personal counseling and such. So it is a very dark room. So, oh well, not really much I can do about that. And this here is the guest residence. So if there are guests here at Lumiere, they can come in here and have a nice little place to stay. And they have a nice little place to use the restroom and wash their hands. Sitting room, fireplace, a couple windows, definitely to bring in some light. And yeah, that's about that. And a wardrobe there on the wall. So that being said, that is the only way to get up here is from this stairs right here. This comes up onto the battlements on the back side of the Lord's residence. So if you guys see it from this side, yeah, that's the battlements. And of course, this here is another partition. This is actually the Lord's room. So we're going to go see that next. And the way to do that, by the way, this is the bell tower. So many like little nooks and crannies to get everywhere. It's really difficult to like show it all because I feel like I'm gonna forget some of it. So we make our way up this little crossback stair, and it goes over like that, like a little balcony type deal. Very grand feeling. If we come out here, it's like a little multiple direction way to get everywhere. This goes into a tower that leads up to the second layer of battlements, and also these up here, it's like a porch, no, a balcony, not battlements, here in the front of the Lord's residence there. I'm not actually going to go up there, not really worth it. Got a little vine in here to add in quite a bit of atmosphere. By the way, something you guys have not seen is Kurgan actually helped me design this angel here on the side of the Lord's residence. Now, what's that for is like it's like a religious type deal where he is guarding the chapel down below from the evils of, you know, I don't know, invisible evils or whatever. But anyways, I thought it was a really neat feature to add on. It took me the longest time to figure out what to put there, but with the use of a lot of those capital blocks and such, it really came out and became something really great. So I really am happy with that. We'll take a closer look at the architecture here as well later in the episode as I am finishing up the interior. There's a lot to see. So we make our way in here, and this is the Lady's Solar. Now, the reason why the Lady and the Lord are separated is because obviously in this era, in royalty, sometimes it just was proper. It was considered proper that the Lady would sleep on her own bed and the Lord would sleep in his own bed. But whenever things would happen, you know, she would make her way up there or him in here, etc. And, well, that's how well, the younger ones are made. But that being said, yeah, this is her vanity right here. Nice little place to sit and read a book there, looking out the window. Also, a little fireplace right by the bed. Might be a little bit warm, to be honest, but I didn't really have any other spot to put the fireplace, so that is that. The ceiling, pretty fancy. Now, we head in here, and this is the bathroom. Got a big old bath right here. Again, another little vanity, and of course the chamber pot. Very fancy, by the way, and very airy. You can look out these windows, have a great view of the lands down below. So really like how that turned out, and I like the ceiling, etc. It looks great. Now we head into here, and this is actually the Lord's study. Now the Lady would come in here as well. It's not really unheard of that, you know, this wouldn't specifically be for the Lord, but, you know, the whole family could just kind of come in here as a secondary living area. But it's designed primarily for the Lord's leisure, so that he can read books and study and, you know, just kind of relax from away from things. Of course, he has a little balcony out here. And I have this silly little lore that he has some kind of really unique bird. So we have a couple little, like, bird... the bird doesn't need a cage. It's, like, smart or something, and... I haven't really put much thought into it, but yeah, anyways, that's one place for his bird there. And so yeah, that is that, and a nice little porch there that leads out from the Lady's Solar, and they can kind of connect there. And yeah, so that is that. There is a couple more things to see on this floor. If we go in through here, this is actually the daughter's room. Now, she is actually getting married. That's what the plot is built around. I actually haven't built the marriage area yet. There's supposed to be a ceremony going on right now, and that's why there's all this celebration happening at this time. But yeah, the design of this castle is kind of around, well, the design of the plot is kind of around the marriage. So anyways, this is her room right here, and I showed you the chamber pot there, and then this right here is a little balcony that looks down over the courtyard. So that's that. I'm not even going to bother closing that door. It always activates that clothes hanger. Honestly, I should kind of remove that. Now we head into this room, and this is the lady's... I guess you would call this her personal room. She has a little sewing machine there and a little place where she can sit and gossip with other women, I guess, of the town or area, her friends, and just kind of, this is her little safe space, I would guess. Even like the daughter would come in here, and this would be their spot to kind of spend together. So there is actually one more thing to see. Well, there's more to see than that, but if we go this way, oh, this is actually another little porch right here. Again, another place for his personal bird to stay up there in that little house, and just like a little front balcony for the Lord right there overlooking the secondary courtyard. Now, this is his stair that leads all the way up to his bedroom. All the way up here. Now, originally I had a door right here, and that's what led to the Octate's, it led down the hallway that led to the Octate's room and also the guest room, but there was really no reason to keep that there, so I just removed it and I put some kind of like little cabinetry there instead, and I feel that works a lot better. And anyways, this is where the Lord of Lumiere would sleep in this bed, and he has a nice little wardrobe there, a vanity, of course, now, and also a place for his bird again up here, and a little like chapel kneeling area over his balcony there, and a big old chair for him to relax at. So again, another nice room for him, very bright. I used the white in order to really bring it together, make it very, very bright, and I think it works very nicely. So there is one pretty extensive thing to show, actually. Lumiere is also a very secretive castle, of course. So there is a secret passage that leads down and has multiple ways to get everywhere. For example, this right here is a place where the Maester can access the area. Now, in the lore, there is a well, I'll show you guys later and tell you about that, but we'll just keep going down here. And you'll see there's this little access way right here, and you can have all these different spots to look down over everything. So it really is a neat little way to showcase everything. 1 second, guys. There we go. I needed some light. I'm sure you guys are probably having a hard time seeing, but it has multiple access points. For example, this leads down and into the crypts, and also out to the postern gate down below. Well, not the postern gate. Give me 1 second. There we go. It goes out to the like the back gate where they can just kind of escape if there's an attack and the whole place has been overrun. Anyways, this is the door that leads into the cellars right there. That door would be locked, and nobody would know how to get into it. At least that's the hope. But we lead this way, and if the Lord needs a quick little snipe of gold, he can lead into the vault right here and get in there and grab some money. And if we head back in, there is this way down here. Now the lore of Lumiere is that it's built atop the Elven Crypts, which you guys have seen in previous episodes. And in here is a place where they study the artifacts, some of which, there's already been a bunch of artifacts that are sold, and that's how Lumiere, well, one of the reasons why Lumiere is so rich is because they're highly sought after, because they're infused with magical properties and such. Now, Patrick's Craft actually helped me come up with ideas for some of these designs, so really a big thank you and a shout out to him for being such an awesome guy for helping me out. But it's super exciting, to add little things like this and all the greenery and such. It's kind of lore-based as well, because they are studying a crystal that was just harvested. Now, if that stays there for much longer, it kind of reduces to ash and whatever. But yeah, he's studying a crystal. The Maester is studying a crystal there, and it's why it's emitting this energy that's creating like roots and things to grow down here and create all this life. So it's an interesting little concept. But anyways, that being said, I think that is everything for the Lord's residence, if I'm not mistaken. I hope that I got everything. I'll do a quick little scout and just make sure that's it. Well, I guess I haven't shown you guys this area. This is actually one of the access ways to get into the cellars. If you come in through here, the courtyard, and it leads you this way and down into this meeting area, and then it leads you into the chapel. So this bottom portion is more designed for the lower class citizens of Lumiere, being the soldiers, the servants, etc. This is where they would worship. And then the balcony up above is more designed for the royalty of Lumiere. So you got the Lord, Lady, and then the daughter that can sit here and just kind of sit in prayer, and then the priest can be down here, and then like the crowd of other people can be down here in this sort of open area and along the sides. So that's the design of this, is to be sort of the segregation of royalty is pretty typical in this type of society, so it would make sense. And this is a little spot where the priest can just kind of sit here and read books and meet and greet people that come in. So that is that, and this is actually the beginning of the staircase leading up there. So I think that's it, but again, let me make sure. Well, I guess this area here was actually included in the episode as well. Now, please forgive me for being so kind of stuttered through this, because this episode has taken me about 8 to 9 months to make because of being uninspired, taking break from Minecraft, etc. So there's just a lot of things that I'm totally forgetting that I did. But anyways, this right here was actually done. Now, if you see what's going on here, this is actually remnants of ruins that had been here. And what they're doing is they're taking some of the stone and they're using it for construction in other areas around Lumiere. And of course, you got some more sort of remnants of ruins. Now, this is probably rubble of the previous structure that had been here. Of course, this used to be an elven type university or temple or something, or I haven't really decided, to be honest, but there's just those little ruins all over the place, and of course there's a big bulk of it right there. So that being that, there's just a lot of atmosphere around Lumiere and a lot of detail, a lot of different things that just add in the atmosphere that I'm trying to go for. Now, the plan is to eventually revise all of the old interiors. For example, you'll just see a great example of what needs to be revised in here. I mean, this is like old mod stuff here, so it really demonstrates, you know, this could really see some revisions. So that will be done eventually, so don't worry about that. Also this courtyard, etc. There's a lot of things that will need to be revised, but all in good time. Probably in the next 3 years or so, we'll see what happens. But yeah, that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Lumiere is still progressing slowly but surely, and it will be done hopefully. Well, Lumiere is done. The castle is done. There is really nothing else to the castle that's going to be added. Everything else is cosmetic on the outside, at least, so there's not really anything on the castle. So yeah, this series is technically over. If you look at it from the perspective of the castle being done. So this is Lumiere. So I hope you guys like what you see from, it literally has been about 2.5 years, well, 2 years since I uploaded the first episode, and then I actually started Lumiere maybe like 4 months before I uploaded the first episode. But it's just one of those projects that just takes a long time. Being as busy as I am, it's just very difficult for me to stick to this 24/7 all the time and get it done super quickly. It just doesn't work that way. But still, one way or the other, it's a long-term project, and I really enjoy coming back to it when I'm able. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you liked it, don't forget to hit that like button. It's a very good thing for you to do. Also, comment down below. Always great to see your comments. I always read every single comment, and I try to respond to them as soon as I can. And also subscribe, because there is a lot more coming. There is something special coming up that I'm sure you guys will like to see. It will be probably coming within the next month to 2 months or so. So if you guys want to see what that is, make sure you stay tuned to this channel, and hopefully it'll be an interactive type deal, and some of you can actually join in and be a part of it. But yeah, hope you all have a great day, have a great night. I will see you on the next episode. Till then, bye-bye.